always heard of Google, right? Google's a company, it's a noun. Well, nowadays, Google's also become a verb, right? You Google something. Well, Chuck's mentor, his name is Jeff Sundell. Sundell is his last name. It's a noun, right? Well, it's also become a verb. To get Sundelled means that at the very last moments, he walks up to you and says, "Hey, Lee, I need you to train this." And you're like, now that's with 5 to 10 minutes notice. Now there's another verb that we use that gives you a couple of hours of notice. It's called chucked. So I've been chucked, and so I got about 2 hours notice that I was training this one. So what we're going to do right now is flood you guys with Scripture, and we're going to split back up into our 3 churches. But this is I don't even want you to move, because this is going to be fast and furious.
You need another piece right now.
In a minute. Okay. Church 1, this is your passage. Church 2, these are your 2 passages. Church 3, this is your passage. What I want you to do is you got about 5 minutes. So this is fast and furious. About 5 minutes. Go through and list all of the commands. What did Jesus command them to do? And it can also be a negative command. If he says, "Don't do this," well, that's still a command. Okay? And then we'll discuss it. So you got about 5 minutes. Okay. Next.
Anybody.
Yeah, just
plead
anybody.
for more laborers.
I'm sorry?
Plead for more laborers.
Okay. Okay. How about church 3? Anything? Heal the sick. Okay, we'll just go in order. Church 1.
Israel, not the Gentiles, not the Samaritans.
Okay.
Go to the Israelites. Go to Israel now.
Okay, church 2.
Stay in the same place that you enter until you depart.
Okay. Don't move around. Let's try to keep it short.
Yeah.
Church 3.
Eat and drink what is set before you.
Okay. Church 1.
Give without pay.
6. Give without pay.
Yeah.
Okay. Church 2.
Preach the kingdom of God.
Okay. Church 3.
If you're not received, shake the dust off.
Okay. Church 1.
Raise the dead.
Raise the dead.
There's
Now, there's a command for you. How many of y'all are obeying that command? Church 2.
every morning at 9:30
Church 2. Yeah.
Preach that people should repent.
Okay. Church 3.
We're out.
Sorry?
I think we said them all.
Oh, heavy? So, okay,
Shake off dust when rejected.
okay, we got that
Oh,
one.
you did it? Okay.
Okay, what else?
Drive out demons.
Drive out demons. Okay. Anybody else?
Don't take anything with you.
Okay. Travel light. Did we get that one?
Yeah.
Anoint.
travel
Say
light.
nothing.
Anoint this one. Did you say this one?
Anoint.
Anoint.
Anoint the sick.
Anoint the sick. Okay. What else?
Greet the house when you're entering.
Greet the house when you enter. Okay. Okay. That's a good one. Okay, what else?
You have proclaim peace.
Not precisely. We'll do that one.
Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with don't take that.
Okay.
What was that last one?
It was.
What was he?
You got it.
Oh.
Yeah,
I thought you were
they
saying something else.
were still debating on it. So, anything else?
If it's unworthy, your peace will come back.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? So I think we've pretty well got it exhausted there. So you can see how these 3 passages, there's a lot of overlap between the 3 passages. Okay, now, similar type assignment. What I want you to do is, actually, I guess it would have been good if you drawn the grid. I didn't think about that. So, church 1, 2, and 3, these are your respective passages. What I want you to do is go through, and this is the parable of the sower, and 3 different versions of it. I want you to identify the characteristics of each of the 4 soils. So, list characteristics of soil 1, soil 2, 3, and 4. And you got about 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll discuss it, just like we did. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We'll kind of do it similar style. Just like all 3 passages are very similar. So what are characteristics of soil 1? Just anybody.
It's attacked and snatched by the devil.
Okay,
Hears but doesn't understand.
okay. Okay, what else?
Hard,
Hard,
unreceptive,
okay. What else?
The snatched by the devil is for the purpose of them not believing and not being saved.
Okay. What else? Any other ones on soil 1? Okay, how about soil 2?
you receive with joy but no root.
Okay.
Says they're scorched, then withered.
Short-lived.
Okay. Oh, she's behind now. so-
Lived.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, well,
There was one we missed in there.
Scorched and withered.
Scorched.
scorched in.
And what?
Withered.
Withered.
They're just sorry. Fall away in a time of testing. No perseverance.
Anything else on that one? Okay. What about third soil?
Distracted by the cares of the world.
Okay.
You choked by the pleasures of life.
Unfruitful.
Okay. What else?
You can also be choked by riches.
Okay, riches. What else?
Worries.
One of the stories talks about a little bit different wording here.
The fruit does not mature.
Yes. Almost the same, but not quite the same. Same, but different. What else? Okay, let's look at fourth soil.
Produces.
Produces,
Multiplication, 30, 60.
okay,
100 times, yeah.
okay.
The person heard and understood.
Okay.
They hold the word fast in a good heart.
Okay.
They accept it.
What else?
Do we say bear fruit with patience?
Didn't, but that's good.
Or
Perseverance.
Perseverance. So patience and or perseverance.
Okay. Anything else? Now, one of the things I noticed that really nobody has talked about at all is from the point of view of the farmer. I mean, we talked about, the second half of each one of these, but, so where did the farmer chunk his seed here?
Path.
Path. And then what happened here? Go ahead and write up here, Dan. It was on the path, and then what happened to the seed?
Gobbled up.
birds.
Birds that came and ate it, right? Okay. What about birds ate? Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So where did he chunk the seed here?
Rocky soil.
Rocky soil. Okay. And what about here?
Thorns.
Thorns.
Weeds.
Okay. What kind of soil is this?
Good soil.
Good soil. Okay. So then, I didn't ask you for this because what are some characteristics of the farmer?
He's scattered everywhere.
Just indiscriminate chunking. What is the seed
The gospel.
or the word of God?
Word of God,
Yeah,
yeah.
same. Okay. And okay. Okay. So now let's take a look at these two sets of parables. So over here we've got the four soils. Farmer chunking seed everywhere. Over here we've got Jesus sending out the 12 and 72, or I guess the 72 is here. What do you get out of this?
We need to go to the good soil. We need to focus in on where the good soil is, where there's have ears to hear.
Okay. And how do we find that good soil?
Scattering everywhere.
Scattering everywhere.
Scatter everywhere. Focus on the good soil.
Okay. So what does good soil look like?
It multiplies.
Say it again.
It multiplies.
It multiplies. Okay. What else?
There's understanding.
Okay. Somebody read I think it's Luke 8:15. I really like that verse.
As for that, in the good soil, they are those who, hearing the word, hold it fast in an honest and good heart and bear fruit with patience.
Amen.
Hold it fast with an honest and good heart and bear with patience. So as we're chunking seed indiscriminately, I mean, really, truly, let's think about it. What farmer chunks a seed on a path? I mean, really? Or chunks it out there? I mean, doesn't he know his land? Doesn't he know where there's rocky soil? And didn't he pull the weeds or anything? I mean, but we're supposed to chunk it everywhere, right? So what, can't remember what I was gonna say. What does a good soil person look like? I mean, in the real world? As you've been doing this now, some of you have been doing it for a while.
They get excited about the gospel and sharing it and the things of God.
Okay, so you train them how to share the gospel and then they go share the gospel, is that right? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
They persist even when they don't see immediate fruit.
Mm.
Oh,
Perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else?
I think it's a desire for obedience.
Okay, good. What else?
A good soil person is anyone who's willing to listen for a little bit. I mean, if they're willing to listen, they go to the next step.
Okay. Okay. And then what happens if we go the next step and then what? And then they disappear on you?
Then we go to the next person.
They're
Okay.
two or three.
Okay. So sometimes it's dangerous to try to shove two parables together. And so, we don't want to take this thing too far, but within, as far as we can, what does Jesus say to do with people that reject your message?
shake the dust off your feet.
Okay. Now, I can't remember if it's in one of these. Doesn't he also to say something like, say that the kingdom of God has come near you?
Yeah.
We didn't get that one up here.
Mhm.
But, so I mean, that's a pretty prophetic thing. Hey, just know the kingdom of God came near you.
And he says something about them being like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, that's
Really?
pretty harsh stuff there. Have you ever done that when somebody walked away from you?
I have one time.
Have you?
Yeah.
But isn't that at the point where there's an absolute rejection?
Mhm.
You know, hopefully we will meet many that may say, not quite ready,
Thank you.
then we continue with them. But if it's someone who's just out now, I reject this, that's when we move on.
Right,
We look for what? Openness?
right. So, but absolutely, what you said is absolutely true. But I guess one of the things that I did want to get across here is that we're going to encounter, as a farmer, as we're going out chunking seed, I think Jesus told us this parable, so we'd have a pretty good idea of the types of things we're going to encounter out there and what to expect. And he told us, I think he made it pretty clear where we should focus our time. Okay? Then when he sent out the 12 and 72, he gave them some very specific instructions, and he also told them, shake the dust off if you get rejected. But he also said, don't move around. So if they receive you, hey, eat whatever they give you, and just stay there. You're not supposed to continue moving. You're supposed to go deep with these, with these people, because you've found some potential for soil. Now, you won't necessarily know that right away, except the fact that they invited you in and they said, hey, here's some water and dinner. That's a good first step. And so then you just keep camping out there, don't move around, and you keep trying to see if they're going to take this and go with it. Okay, so we often talk about a person of peace. Have you heard that term before? Or house of peace? So how does that phrase connect with everything that we just did? When we say, hey, let's go find a person of peace, what does that mean?
You're looking for the good soil.
It's someone that's open to the gospel as well and open to learning, being like a sponge and sucking things up.
Okay, excellent. What else?
In the sending out of the 12 and the 72, it's the person who receives you and your message, and it is thus a door to the rest of the community.
Absolutely. So they receive you, say that they receive the messenger, they receive the message, and then there's actually a third M there. What's the third M that they receive? What was that?
The mission.
Mission. So did you get that? There's the 3 M's. That's one way to look at a person of peace. They receive the message, they receive the messenger, I got out of order, and they receive the mission.
But a good example of that potentially is a woman this morning. She said, she told you, this is a very nice man. She received the messenger. She said, I want to hear more about this Jesus Christ. She received the message. And then she said, I want to tell my son about this. She received the mission. And that was in a matter of minutes. So she may be a person of peace.
But ultimately, only time will tell. But for now, Chuck has made a commitment to meet with her every morning and tell her another story. Okay, so he's going to continue down this process. Now, needless to say, at the end of 6 days, regardless, he's out of here. They hand her off to somebody else. But if he lived here, at what point would he finally? How could this thing play out? Let's say Chuck is one of you guys lives here, or y'all had found a similar type person. Walk down some scenarios. How could this play out?
She could even pray to receive Christ tomorrow, get real excited, and then be gone the 4th day. Never see her again and wonder what happened.
We had one exactly like that. We had a team come in, lead her to Christ, actually trained her on the spot, actually had her train us back, so we knew she had all this stuff. And she made a commitment to meet with us the next day, and
She was baptized.
oh, and she was baptized too.
Wow.
And then that was it. And which soil would that have been? Second. And ultimately, we discovered later that she had a homosexual boyfriend or roommate, and so we're kind of sure there was some persecution that played in there. So, okay, how else could this play out?
Obviously, she could end up being the fourth soil. And next thing
160.
you know, she leads her, was it daughter? Daughter to faith, or son to faith. She leads her husband, or I don't know, or ex-husband, whichever the case, her neighbor, and all of a sudden she's discipling them, and it just takes off.
Yeah, and she's the one that reaches Japan. How else can it play out, especially in America? I don't know about Japan, but what's the typical way it plays out in America?
Soil 3, where they get distracted or something comes along and, get discouraged and just fall off.
Right.
Or even they keep coming to church, but they just become a bench warmer in the pew warmer in the church, and they just come, but they never grow beyond their initial.
And what should we, as disciplers, as followers of Jesus, as people who are trying to be like Jesus, how should we manage our time?
Spend all our time with fourth soil people as much as possible,
At least the majority.
or finding
Well,
fourth soil people
yeah.
and sticking with them.
I think spreading out the gospel, it's really important to make sure that you still spread the seeds, no matter where they're gonna land. And yeah, seek out the soil 4, but, walk away if they turn into 3 or 2 or 1.
Now that, it's kind of harsh. I don't know if there's in here people who are gifted as a shepherd, but those who are gifted as shepherds really struggle with that idea of walking away. They're convinced that if they love them enough, they'll come around. The fact is that every one of us, or almost every one of us, were second soil at some point, first soil at one point, second soil at one point, third soil, and then now we're sitting in here, right? Yes.
Well, yeah, so I think I have the spiritual gift of shepherding, so I really struggle with this too, because, maybe this is a unique case, but Jesus, one of his disciples was Judas, who he knew would eventually betray him, and he still spent 3 years with him, he still loved him and discipled him. So that could just be a unique case, but I struggle with, like you said, okay, do we only focus on the fourth soil people? Because if that's the case, well then what if there's like a second or third soil person who will become a fourth soil person, but if we get up too quickly, you know what I mean? So I struggle with this one.
So what do y'all think about that?
I think one of the things that I learned, when doing this, is focus on the fourth soil, but if the third or second soil are still coming behind, have them watch you work with the fourth soil too.
It's a good idea.
Because then they can see, oh, maybe I should be more passionate about God, or,
Cool.
So don't invest as much in them, but maybe keep them around for the other soils.
Something David had said once that really is helpful for me is walk with the walkers, run with the runners. Don't run with those who are only walking. And even for myself, one person who's now, he is very clearly fourth soil, but he was for a long time, like you said, soil 1 and then 2 and 3, and so it was a portion of our time. It was like come into our home and do some things, but majority of my time was focused elsewhere. But then as he began to get hungry, and I really want this, and then I began to pour more time into him, and he's proved to be good soil.
You could look at Japan as a whole as soil number 3. The old-timer missionaries told me after the war you could preach at the street corner, and you'd be guaranteed a crowd, and a certain percentage of that would come to your tent meeting that night, and a certain percentage of them would become believers and genuine believers. But he said after 1952, when Japan started on the road to affluence, that all just shut down. So, choked by riches and worries, that seems to describe Japan.
Now, this morning I did a thing on numbers, and I'm going to throw some more numbers at you right now, and then I'll get off this thing up here. But Jesus, let's look at Jesus' numbers. And so, with the exception of Judas, Jesus focused a lot on fourth soil men. I mean, he fed the 5,000, he fed the 4,000, he went throughout all of Galilee, went to Samaria, went to all sorts of different places. He was on the move constantly. It's hard to get a good calculation on how many people he actually shared the gospel with. I mean, again, in some cases it was in a very large crowd. But clearly, we know for a fact 5,000, 4,000, and those are just the dudes. The women and children, so there was quite a few people there. It's based on, when I wikied this, different numbers for Galilee during that time period and some of the other areas. I think it's reasonable, somewhere between 500,000 and 1.5 million. So if we set around 1 million or so that he encountered during his 3.5 years, that would be the number on the denominator. Okay. If we go to Acts, what is it, where he had 120 there, if we think that's the numerator of the equation, that he had, let's say, 120 fourth soil men and women at the very end. So 120 at the top, to make the math easy, 1.2 million at the bottom. That works out to 1 out of 10,000. So numbers wise, Jesus shared the gospel with, it took only 1 out of 10,000 people that he shared the gospel with turned into fourth soil. So if we're finding fourth soil out of 100, we're doing really good. And we can't spend a lot of time up here. If we're looking for that 1 out of 10,000, then if the more time we spend up here, the less time we have investing in the fourth soil.
Can I share something just that I've learned the last couple of days? So we're going to learn in just a minute, 411, a very, very simple gospel presentation that you can share in a minute. And it's just gotten, so that there's 6 of us went down to Nagoya, and just we're sharing about at least once a day, sometimes 2 or 3, with these people that we had only 2 to 5 minute interactions with. That's not a lot of necessarily gospel presentations, but we got two people give us contact information, 3 people give us contact information, and it wasn't a contextual gospel. We were just sowing seed every time. I've got a minute with this taxi driver, I got a minute with this person, and I can crank out a short gospel, and we found a guy that have a Jehovah's Witness background, who Caleb's gonna share my story with you. Yes, please. Please share your story. That one taxi driver says, "Would you want to believe?" He says, "I want to believe." We don't know. After a minute, anyway, just I think I've slipped into trying to find going deeper, and that's great. That needs to happen. I mean, longer conversations. I can backtrack if I'm not being clear on something, but just sowing seed indiscriminately. That's how you find fourth soil people, and there are a lot of people in Japan that have some sort of exposure to Christianity, whether it be a school or a Yochian or a friend or something, but they've just never heard the gospel, and they can hear it in a minute. So I just wanted you saying Jesus' numbers. That's been like really, really encouraging when I heard you say that, because his soil was harder than our soil. I think that's my takeaway.
Is it possible that the soil can change over time? So like you might be rocky soil now, but so forget the seeds there, but sometime that rocky soil will turn into different soil, and when the seed gets spread on that one, then it'll be ready?
Absolutely.
Sounds
Well, we're praying that for Japan.
So like in the case of somebody who's really hard to shepherd, maybe the soil isn't ready yet, but it will be for somebody else.
Any other questions? I got about a couple minutes.
Just a comment. Wise woman, my mom told me many years ago, and it stuck with me. Don't waste time on someone who's not interested when there's plenty of other people out there that you haven't met that are desperate.
They're out there, they're in Japan.
Well, that's all I've got, so Ollie will hand it off to the 411 people, and you get this as an awesome tool.